Hello, everyone. Let me start with a simple question. How many of you have ever spent your day creating a perfect study schedule? You know the one. It's color-coded, it's beautiful. 4 p.m., start homework. 5 p.m., finish math. 6 p.m., study science. 7 p.m., relax and be a well-adjusted human being. Everything is organized. Everything is under control. But then reality hits. 4 p.m., check your phone. 4:20, reply to one message. 4:45, grab a small snack. 5:30, watch one YouTube video. 6:30, maybe another, and then another. And 8 p.m., absolute panic. And suddenly, the day is gone. For a long time, I thought this meant one thing. Students lack discipline. Hello, I'm Dakshita Sharma, and I'm a senior here at AISB. And like many of you, someone who has spent far too many nights creating a perfect study schedule that never actually happened. But my journey has been a bit unusual. I have lived in several countries, including Thailand, Ethiopia, India, Oman, and now Hungary. But even when I changed time zones and educational systems, I noticed something interesting. Students everywhere were struggling with the exact same thing. It wasn't a lack of ambition. It wasn't a lack of intelligence. It was a battle for our attention. Our environment shapes us more than we realize, and today that environment is louder than ever. It shapes how we think, how we believe, and who we believe we should become. Through social media, constant notifications, and heavy expectations, we are exposed to hundreds of messages every single day telling us who we should become. Be more perfect, be more productive, be more successful. Most people in this room may have felt that exact pressure. It may not be about education for everyone. It could be about work, relationships, or even gaming for the younger generations. But in that noise, we start to chase an ideal, flawless version of ourselves. But something strange happens when we do that. Instead of moving forward, we actually move backward. We procrastinate, we feel deeply guilty for not being that perfect, and that damages our motivation and eventually our mental health. Our brains are so overloaded, and science perfectly explains this. When we are exposed to a constant pressures, our bodies react. A stress hormone called cortisol is released. In small amounts, cortisol is actually helpful. It helps you wake up and helps you focus. But when that noise is constant, your brain stays flooded. High levels of cortisol actually weaken your memory and cloud your attention. Your brain enters survival mode. It chooses distraction and procrastination not because you're lazy, but because it's trying to protect you from the threat of overwhelming stress. This reality forced me to look at time differently. It started back in 5th grade when my teacher showed me a famous video by creator Ze Frank titled, "The Time You Have in Jelly Beans." He used physical jelly beans to map out a human life. It completely changed my perspective. And recently, I decided to adapt that brilliant way of thinking to a student's life. By doing some simple math on average hours we spent on sleeping, eating, on daily routines and screens, I built a calendar. Now, imagine your life, not in years, but in weeks. A single year is exactly 52 weeks. This is what those 52 weeks look like, as simple circles on a white screen. But watch how quickly the daily needs of life start to fill them in. First, let's subtract the time you spent sleeping, eating, and on basic routines. At a roughly calculated 11 hours a day for healthy development, this takes away 24 full weeks of our entire year. Just like that, nearly half the canvas turns dark. Next, let's add education and school. According to a standard 180-day international school year, education accounts for another 9 weeks. If you glued all your schoolwork and homework back to back with 0 breaks, you would be studying for approximately 9 weeks. Look, we're past the halfway mark and the space is shrinking. Now, let's add technologies and screens. According to research by Common Sense Media, an average 8 to 12-year-old in the US spends about 5.5 hours a day on screens. Another 12 weeks of the year are used up. But remember, these are averages. These take into account school days, non-school days, and vacations. Now, some of you may be thinking, wait, there's no way I spend more time on my phone than I do at school? It feels that way because school fills up your calendar months. But remember, school has vacations and school has weekends. Your phone doesn't. You scroll 365 days a year. Now, of course, some technologies and screens do overlap with free time and can even be creative or social. But look at what's left. Only 7 circles are glowing out of the 52. Just 7 weeks out of an entire year for you. This is where curiosity lives, where hobbies build, where relationships form, and where you figure out who you want to become. Look, that's all you have left. And that's why learning how to filter the noise and distractions matters so much. During my own exam spiral, when I was completely overwhelmed by the noise of grades and expectations, my parents, siblings, and grandparents were there for me. They looked at me and said something incredibly simple. You are studying to live, not living to study. That's where the theme of today's event becomes so important. Courage to connect, power to act. Courage doesn't have to be a big, heroic shout. Sometimes it can be a pause, long enough to reconnect with yourself. Courage is telling a family member or a friend, hey, I'm overwhelmed or I'm scared, only to realize that they're feeling the exact same thing. When we connect, the noise gets quieter. That is the message. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Don't give it up because some notification asked for it. Use that superpower to reconnect with yourself. Because once you do, you gain the power to act. I'm not here to tell you to delete your apps or stop playing Brawl Stars or Roblox. That's not a solution. That's just another chore. Real action is about setting a boundary. It's the power to decide which expectations are in your head and which ones are background noise. It's the power to create an environment in which you can actually breathe. Mental health isn't about feeling better. It's about realizing that while you can't turn off the world's volume, you can choose which frequency you listen to. Filter the noise, reconnect with your why, and then act from a place of trust, not fear. Because only when you stop chasing someone else's definition of success, you finally have the space to start building your own. Your brain isn't broken. Your world just got very, very loud. And learning how to quiet it, protecting those 7 glowing circles and finding the courage to connect with yourself might be one of the most important skills that you can develop today. Thank you.